on Just Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
Today we are talking about our superhero event, the first episode, which is Batman Mask of the Phantasm, an animation action adventure film from 1993. This has a 7.8 on 39,999 votes. Which I find slightly irritating. It needs one more vote to be an even number. So the spoiler-free synopsis. In this animated feature set in the 1940s, the troubled yet heroic Batman is pitted against a mysterious figure who is rubbing out Gotham City's most dangerous criminals, and whom many believe is the caped crusader himself. Batman's alter ego, millionaire Bruce Wayne, is about to get married to the lovely Andrea Beaumont, who helps him recover from his need to avenge his parents' murder, meaning that his crime-fighting days may be numbered.
Yeah. Alright, so this is directed by, there's two directors, Eric Radomski and Bruce Timm, and this voice actors are Kevin Conroy, Dana Delany, and Stacy Keach.
Yeah.
It was funny when I was listening to this, I'm like, I recognize Dana's voice. Where do I recognize her from? And I'm like, oh, other stuff. Yeah. Other voice acting
Oh,
stuff.
other stuff.
Other stuff. Superman.
I don't watch Superman.
The animated series.
Never
the
watched
one that came
it.
out in the 90s.
Never watched it. Because I hate Superman.
I think she's Lois Lane, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because I think she plays Lois Lane in some other stuff. Let me look real quick. Oh yeah, she's in a couple episodes of the Brave and the Bold, but not as Lois Lane. And then she's in The Batman as Lois Lane, but that's only 2 episodes. So yeah, she plays Lois Lane pretty often.
I was like, I recognized her from that. Sorry, Kat.
I never watched the Superman. The only time I watched Superman is like the Justice League's one. And then also, if Superman was in Batman, I watched it. But other than that, I did not watch Superman. I hate Superman.
I know.
And Bruce Timm is also one of the major directors / creators of the Batman the Animated Series that was on in the 90s. Which is where this Batman is set.
Yes.
So the ratings, 29.3% of users rated this at an 8. Not enough reviews for Metacritic. But Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 84% on 31 critical reviews. So, 2 of the fresh. Oliver Sava. The Mask of the Phantasm is the mask that Bruce Wayne puts on every day. And if he falls into the abyss, he risks a life like Andrea's, completely alone. Which is like the entire point of that movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't read it. So Stephen Holden. Phantasm succeeds as a gloomy but not claustrophobic assessment of the superhero world that does not lose any of its panache for seriousness. Okay. I feel like he put a lot of big words in there for this late at night.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, why are you making me think right now?
Yeah.
None of that, please.
I don't want to have to think sometimes. So, too rotten. Mark Caro. The violence is too realistic, though not terribly graphic, to qualify as cartoony escapism. Yet the movie lacks the sophistication, vision, or satirical edge to lay claim to any higher purpose. It's merely dark for dark's sake. So, first of all, have you ever watched Batman the Animated Series? I already know the answer to that question by the first, 5 words in this. The violence is too realistic. You think. It's Batman. Shut up. Yeah. And then, sophistication. First of all, it's a cartoon meant for children. So...
It's like, this one's made for children.
Yeah, this is for children. So, sophistication, not really on the radar that much. Satirical edge, probably not on the radar that much for children either. And then, it's merely dark for dark's sake. Yes, because it's Batman.
Like, it's Batman. What are you not getting?
And this is not the cartoony, cheesy, super fun, campy 60s Batman. This is based, in the same type of world that Tim Burton tried to create. With the dark Batman. With, the Frank Miller stuff. So, you don't know Batman, sir. Leonard Claddy. While the script and pedigree of actors are commendable, the craft level is too close to the small screen offering to get audiences into theaters. That's the point. Because originally this was just going to be released on TV.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, surprise, we're going to put it in movie theaters.
Yeah, so that's why.
I was like, come on.
Good job, sir. You pointed out what we already knew. Because literally this is in the Batman animated series collection as one of the specials. Because it was originally only going to be released on TV. And then they're like, oh, just kidding. So, you have no merit in what you're saying. So, the consensus. Stylish and admirably respectful of the source material. Batman Mask of the Phantasm succeeds where many of the live-action Batman adaptations have failed. Yeah. Because it's Kevin Conroy.
He's amazing.
Best Batman ever. So, of course. So, the budget for this was $6 million. In the US, it made $5,635,204. And seeing as how the US is the only place it was theatrically released, that's all it made. Its opening weekend, the first time it was released in 1993, it made $1,189,975. It was re-released in theaters for 1 day. Actually, no. 2 days. Because it was such a big one the first time they did it. Again, 2 days later. It made $17,000. Which they weren't expecting. And it sucks because I didn't realize that it was going to be in theaters again until 2 days after the second showing. I was pissed.
Oh, I would be pissed too.
Because I think when it came out, I was super, super busy. And so I wasn't really on Facebook or anything. So I didn't see any notifications about it being in the theater until after it was already done being in the theater. And I was pissed. Because I really wanted to see it in the theater. But it's okay. This didn't win any awards at all. It was nominated for an award, which was an Annie Award, but it didn't win. Let's see what won instead.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
You should know, too.
The Lion King.
I was like, Kat, you should know that one.
I didn't even think about it. Didn't look at the, year of the awards. I was just like, oh. Which makes sense.
I was like, I knew that one. Because I did trivia.
Say the 3 nominees were The Lion King, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, and The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Great movies.
Yeah.
All of them.
So. But yeah, so that's that. So, initial thoughts.
I'll go. I remember I did watch the animated series when I was younger. I did. So I knew about this. I know who Kevin Conroy is. Everything. I'm like, I knew how great he is, like, with the Batman. I was like, all right, like, movie. Let's see how this goes, right? I went in with open mind. I'm like, okay, it's Batman. I like Batman generally. It's like, all right. I went in. I'm not gonna lie, I really liked this movie. I didn't know what to expect with it, and I really liked it. I did. It reminded me a lot of the animated series. It really did. And it was like, it took me back to, like, when I was, like, a little kid watching this. And it made me feel happy. And I was like, oh, this is great. And there's just, like, so many good quotes and lines from this movie that I'm just like, oh, it just brought me back. And I just felt really good about it. And I was just like, I don't know what else to say. Because I just really liked it. I did.
Well, I'd say the reason it really reminded you of Batman the Animated Series is because of it having Bruce Timm being there. Because he is pretty much the major influence for the animated series. But also because this was supposed to be the animated series movie. Because the animated series began in 1992 and ended in 1995, whereas this came out in 93. So this was all set in the same time. So that's exactly why you immediately think the animated series, because that's all there was.
Yeah.
So. I don't remember the first time I watched this. Because I was really young. I remember being upset that Batman almost got married. Because I was, like, probably 4 or 5 when I watched it, and I was like, no, he can't get married to her, because he's mine. That was my mentality at, like, 4 years old, watching this movie. Because this came out when I was, like, 3 months old, so I, of course, probably did not watch it at that point. And if I did, I definitely don't remember. But I like this movie a lot. I watch it pretty often. I like some of the differences in animation between this and the animated series, because they tried some different stuff from, like, when the animated series started a year before to when this came out. There was a little bit of new technology that they started to incorporate with this movie that hadn't quite been incorporated into the animated series, so I did like that. I like the, like, world building type, like, this background building that you get from Batman, because you hadn't gotten a lot of his before he was Batman. Whereas in this one, you get some of his before he was Batman. So yes, I like that a lot. I did like that. Because you don't really get that too often. Most of the time when movies do that, it's, oh, Batman's parents got killed. Which is what every live-action movie thinks they have to do.
We know!
You can ask a 3-year-old about Batman. Oh, his parents are dead. They know. We don't need it anymore. That's the one thing that really gets me about movies, like the live action movies, is them constantly. Batman's parents died when he was a kid, and that's why he's Batman. And yes, it is, but we don't get it quite in that same way. We don't see his parents die in this one. Which I think is a nice change of pace.
It is. Trust me.
Trust me. I've seen every Batman movie there is. Trust me.
Like, as someone who, like, doesn't watch Batman movies all the time like Kat, I'm like, thank you for not, like, talking about that. It gets annoying, I'll say that.
And then the other thing that I like is, that they introduced in this one is the fact that we get a new serious love interest. Because a lot of people know Catwoman, a lot of people know Talia, a lot of people know Vicky Vale. Those are like the major three, and most everyone knows it. Even if they don't really know Batman, they know at least one of them. They can name one of those three. I know like 5 people that could name this one.
I can be in that number now.
Oh yeah, I know 6 people.
You added 1.
So it's like, it's a new thing that I feel like you can test people's Batman knowledge with, and that's fun. Because I always like to, like, when people, they're saying they're, like, fans, like, major fans of Batman, and I'm like, well, yeah, who's this? And then I can just, like, shove it in their face that they don't know who that is. And, like, no, I don't know everything there is to know about Batman, but I like to know more than some people, so. But yeah, I enjoy this movie a lot. It's fun.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So we get the classic city panning that happens in the intro to the animated series. Except for it's a little bit different here. We get almost like that 3D type animation where you get to go past the buildings, and it seems like you're actually going past them instead of it just being...
I'd like to make a note right here
kind of
that
flat.
I was loving the music.
Yeah.
Just the very beginning, just hit you off right away. I'm like, oh, so beautiful.
It hits you with that Danny Elfman theme, who created the main theme that is even still used a lot now, which I love. But Danny Elfman didn't do the music. They just used his influence in it, which is awesome. We see some bad guys. And this reminds the intro to Batman, The Dark Knight kind of reminds me a little bit of this intro. Or not The Dark Knight, sorry. Batman Begins, where they're in like the parking garage in Batman Begins, and they're doing the like drug deal or whatever. And then this one is the bad guys all talking together and stuff, and then the bad guy starts coming, and he's like running through the parking garage. Or not the bad guy, but the hooded figure starts coming, and Batman starts coming, and he's like running through the parking garage and stuff. I was like, Batman Begins took some good stuff. I always like seeing how much the directors will take from their source material when they've got it. This one bad guy is starting to get away, and he like gets in his car, but then he makes the dumb decision, like bad guys always do, and he decides to turn around and run over the Phantasm, which doesn't work. So he drives out of the parking garage.
Just launches himself.
Yeah, into another building. And this reminded me of Furious 7, I think. And it's sad that I've seen that movie that many times to know that that's what it's from. Where they like drive the car from one building across like a 200-foot gap to the other building. That's what this reminded me of, and I'm like, oh my god, no.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I unfortunately have seen it multiple times.
Sean.
Yeah. That's okay, he watches movies that I make him watch. Then we jump to Bruce, and he is in the Batcave. And he's doing some research on some of the guys that were in the meeting that was just interrupted. He's like trying to figure out who they were and stuff. And then we see this character, and his name is Arthur
Reeves.
Yeah. And even when I was little, I always got like this sketchy vibe from him because of how they drew his face. It's like super angular. They always would draw a lot of the bad guys with super angular, like almost triangular faces and chins. And like their noses were super triangular. Like real pointy and stuff, whereas like Batman's was more squared off and stuff.
I noticed that too. I was like, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
I don't.
Because it's the same thing with the Joker. He's got very triangular features to him.
That's true.
I think that was part of their art style in their choices.
It worked.
Because the women have very soft features, like more circular and stuff. Whereas the good guys have like the squared off, strong type. Because even Superman in the Justice League animated series, he's got very square features. Whereas almost all of the bad guys have that triangular shape to them. So you get the bad vibe from Arthur.
And he's like giving like this news conference, and he's just like, it's Batman doing it.
Yeah.
Like, and like Commissioner Gordon's in the background, he's like, no, it's not. Quit it.
Yeah. But as everyone knows, Gordon and Batman are friends.
It's like, and you see like Alfred just like watching all of that and everything.
Yeah. And we do get a point where Arthur is talking to this woman on a plane. She's like on her way in, and she's talking to him about how she's coming back. And he's like, well, are you going to go see him? And you can already automatically assume him is Batman / Bruce Wayne.
It's always Bruce.
And she's like, I don't know. She hasn't decided. Then we jump to a party because, Bruce Wayne has to have some parties. It's not a Batman movie without a party.
Of course.
I feel like every Batman movie, like even the live action ones do it. There's always some sort of party.
At least one.
Yeah. Because we had that in our last event with our Batman movie is Bruce Wayne holding a party. Because that's where he meets Vicky Vale and Alexander Knox. But, so, Bruce has all these women hanging on him because, of course, he is a playboy.
And he's rich.
Yep. But one of them comes up and she's super mad at him, smacks him. Which, that was funny.
I'm like, he probably deserved it.
Probably. And then Arthur comes up and he's talking to Bruce. And he's telling him about how Andrea is back, which Bruce didn't know. And then we get the first flashback. So that's the thing that I liked about this too, is that we get those flashbacks and you can always tell because of, well, almost always, there's a couple of them that don't quite follow this rule. But for the most part, the flashbacks are pretty bright. A lot brighter than the more current what's happening to Bruce right now.
Yes.
Which I thought was a really cool contrast and a subtle way to tell kids, hey, this is not happening right now.
This is a memory.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this is his first meeting with Andrea.
We're at the cemetery.
Yep. He's visiting his parents' grave. And he hears her talking, and she is talking to her mom. He finds out because her mom is passed away. And she goes and talks to her mom for advice. And even when I was little, I was like, is she talking back? I don't hear her.
It's like, well, it's a grave, so...
Yeah.
It'd be kind of creepy if it talked back.
Well, I don't know. I watched a lot of scary movies and Goosebumps when I was little, so.
I'm like, you're that child, though.
Yeah, I am. I'm that child. So then we see this person, and you figure out it's Batman. Before Batman's actually Batman. But it's Bruce. He is in, like, some black clothes, and he's got a ski mask on, and he's fighting some thugs and stuff. And he's, like, trying to stop him, but he can't. One of them gets away, and he's just, like, hanging on the truck. He's, like, flying all over the place and stuff, and the cops are chasing. And then the cops wreck, and then, so the truck keeps going, but then Bruce has, like, these little caltrops, like little spiky balls, and he throws them under the tires, and so the truck wrecks.
Yeah, it flips on its side.
Yep. And then so the cops come, and then he, of course, leaves, because he's a vigilante, so not exactly the best thing in the world. But so, then we see Bruce doing some training out in the backyard, and Andrea shows up, and they're talking, and she's, like, giving him a hard time because they have met a couple days before or something like that, and he hasn't called her yet. He's like, well, I've been busy. And then they start messing with each other, and then they spend some time together.
Kissing on the ground. I love how Alfred is just, like, in the background. He's, like, trying to bring lemonade. He's like, I'm just gonna back away now.
He's like, never mind.
Backing away. It's like he does that quite a bit in the movie, too.
Yeah. You're
Alfred.
like, you already get the hint that Alfred does this a lot.
He's like, I'm just gonna go away now.
Yeah. It's funny. Then we jump to more of, like, present day. And there's some bad guys in the graveyard with Buzz Bronski.
Yes.
He's, like, the head bad guy at this point. And he's going there. I don't remember why exactly he's going there, but he's
laying flowers on the guy from earlier, the one who drove his car into the other one.
That's right.
Because
I couldn't remember the guy who drove his car through the thing. I forgot his name. But yeah, so he's there to visit, but Buzz keeps hearing this, like, ghostly voice. And so he goes and tries to look around to find out who's talking. And so the Phantasm shows up and is talking to him, and he's going after Buzz. And Buzz's thugs think that it's Batman, so they're super scared because everyone's scared of Batman if you're a bad guy. It's just a rule. Yes. And so Phantasm gets Buzz, and that's the end of him.
It was pretty cool how he does that, I'm not gonna lie. The Phantasm, just like, because Buzz just, like, falls in this open grave, and, like, the Phantasm just dumps this huge ceramic angel on top of him.
Yeah.
Like, that's a dark way to go, but, I mean, it works.
Yeah. I love that they brought the, like, brutality of the animated series and just kept it going, because they figured out that they could do that with the 1989 Batman, they brought it into the animated series. And then when the animated series is like, oh, we're going to make our own movie, they just kept that, like, more realistic, brutal type Batman fighting in it. And then they kept it up with all of the characters, not just Batman. So I like that.
I'm gonna go to this old guy sitting in, like, his house.
Yeah.
Reading a paper, and he sees that, like, all these, like, mob guys are gone, and it looks like he seems like he's next. He's like, oh, yeah. Batman's after me now.
And we don't quite learn his name now, but we do learn it in a little bit. That is Salvatore Balestra.
Yes.
And they call him Sal.
And then it goes to Arthur is yelling at Commissioner Gordon to go after Batman.
Yeah. And he's like, no.
He's like, I'm not doing that. You do it yourself.
Yeah.
And so they try to lure Batman in with the light and everything.
Yeah, he's like, turns it on, and he's like, normally this works.
It's like, he's not that stupid.
Yeah. Trying to see something, because this guy plays, he played Batman a lot. Or not Batman, he played Commissioner Gordon a lot. I'm just trying to see if he ever... Okay, no. Alright. Oh, yeah, he did. Okay. So, the guy that voices Commissioner Gordon was previously in a Batman TV series. Well, not even the Batman TV series. It was the Batman Superman Hour, and he played Superboy. And it was an older... It came on before Batman, the 1960s one. It came on before that. Believe it was animated. Like the old animation. The black and white animation. Because I recognized the name of him. Bob Hastings. So that's why I was looking. I was like, I know that name. But I couldn't remember what he was in. But I think that's why they got him for Commissioner Gordon, is because he had previously done some Batman show, because the Batman Superman Hour. So I think that's why they got him for Commissioner Gordon.
And
then kept him going. But yeah, so Gordon's like, Batman didn't do it. And they're up there waiting for him on the roof next to the light. But, of course, Batman's off investigating the graveyard. And he's walking around, but then, of course, he gets distracted by his parents' grave. And then he hears Andrea there. He hears her talking, and then he sees her. And then she sees Batman. And then she, walks over, and she sees whose grave he was standing by. And then she's like, Bruce? She, thinks it's him in the bat suit. And I'm just like, finally, someone who is not tricked.
I know. I'm like, really? Is she, the only one to figure this out so quickly? It's not that hard.
You can see probably, maybe 40% of his face you can see. But if she knew him so well, then of course. If Sean put on a Batman mask, of course I'm going to know it's him.
Exactly.
And then the same thing with, Superman. All he does is take his glasses off and becomes Superman. He curls his hair.
I'm like, he moves the curl.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
That's the one thing about superheroes that I'm just like, come on. You have to be an idiot not to know who this is. And then we finally get a very realistic experience with someone meeting the superhero for the first time and being like, wait a second.
It's like, hold up, I know you. I know you.
So I really appreciated that they didn't just make her an idiot and just I don't know who Batman is. Bruce Wayne is not Batman. But, so then, Bruce, of course, is run off at this point. And then now Andrea has gone to meet with Arthur. They're having dinner or something together. And they're talking and everything. And up on another building, we see Bruce watching.
Total creeper.
Yeah, he's creeping. Which, is very understandable. We don't quite know it yet, but he was gonna marry this woman. And she just, is out with another person. And obviously, at this point, it's been years since that point, but But so Arthur and Andrea are getting a little bit too close, and Bruce isn't very happy about it. And he's just watching, and it's all rainy and dark, and you're just like, oh, poor Batman.
Yeah.
Then we get another flashback, and we see Bruce and Andrea's first date to the Gotham World Fair, which I thought was a very good, like, hat tip to the 1960s Batman, because the very first episode of the 1960s Batman is World Fair. In case you guys didn't know that.
I didn't know that, so thank you.
Yeah, it's the Gotham World Fair. I've seen that too many times. It's also the Riddler in the very first episode.
Oh.
Which is funny. I like the Riddler in that show. He's a good one. But anyway, so they're going in and they're exploring the fair and stuff.
I like how one of the cars looks like the Batmobile.
Yeah, the red one.
Yes. I was like, that looks like the Batmobile.
Yeah. And then Andrea is talking about how her dad wants to meet Bruce. And at first he's like, I don't know. And then he's like, okay, sure, whatever, I'll meet him. And then so they go to meet her father.
And they're there, and you see Arthur works for her dad.
Yeah. So this is the first time that Bruce and Arthur meet. I don't know if it's the first time that Arthur and Andrea meet, because since he works for her dad, she probably has met him before.
Probably.
But this is for sure the first time that Bruce and Arthur meet.
And then Mr. Valestra shows up.
Yep, he's got a meeting with Mr. Valestra, and so Bruce and Andrea have to leave. And you can tell by like the vibes that are happening in the room that this is going to be not the friendliest of meetings.
Nah, look, it's not gonna be pretty. Yeah. Then we get to they see the mugging or something.
Yeah, and Bruce goes and tries to stop it, and he was like fighting the guys, and he ends up getting hurt. So the bad guys get away, and Bruce is like super pissed off and doesn't want to talk to Andrea at all. We see some Batman batsuit designs.
He's just drawing. He's like, oh, he's all frustrated.
Yeah. And then he's talking to Alfred about how he's torn between two worlds. And I feel like this is always the issue with superheroes. They're always torn because they're like, well, I just want to be normal, but I've got to save the world. So, and in Bruce's case, I just want to be normal, rich person, but I need to save Gotham.
Because Gotham's a hot mess.
Yeah.
Andrea called too when like Alfred's like, what do you want me to say? Or, you know.
Yeah. He's like, do you want me to just tell her you're not home, or what do you want?
It's like, am I lying for you? What?
Yeah. Then it's like a few days later or something like that, and Andrea ends up showing up, and she's like there trying to comfort Bruce, but he doesn't really seem to want it. He's just like sulking.
Was he at his grave and she shows up? Like his parents' grave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's sulking there. He sulks there a lot.
Batman is just a sulker.
Yeah.
He just sulks around.
It happens. Every excuse for Batman is
I know. I was like, every excuse.
It doesn't matter. It's all fine. But then Sal picks up Arthur, and they're talking about the hooded figure who they think is Batman. So he's like, you've got to get rid of Batman. He's like, I'm trying. And Sal's like, you're not trying hard enough, and gets mad at Arthur. And Arthur leaves the car. And then we see Batman doing some investigating. He's, like, trying to figure out why the Phantasm is after all of these, like, major guys. Because he went after Soul, he went after Buzz, he's going after Sal now. So he's, like, trying to figure out, like, how all of them are connected and stuff.
And he enters, he goes to his house. And he sees the picture of,
the group of them.
yes, and it has her dad in it.
Carl and Arthur. And, like, you see, like, the little light bulb click on. Not for real, but you know.
Click.
Then we get another flashback, and this is where Bruce is proposing to Andrea. And they are out on the Wayne property somewhere. Which, I mean, he's got tons of property, so it's, like, huge. And they get engaged, and then, like, all these bats come out of this big, huge, like, underground cavern thing.
And so, he goes and drops her off, and she's like, it looks like there's a bunch of people there. Like, there's a meeting going on.
Yeah.
It's like, we probably should wait to tell him.
Yeah. So she's gonna go inside, and then they're gonna tell her dad later. So he goes back, and this is where him and Alfred are, like, investigating the Batcave for the first time.
Yes.
Which is really cool, having seen the animated series and not knowing how they found it. It's really cool getting that kind of, like, that information. It was really fun.
Mm-mm.
And then it's, like, the next day, like, the next morning, and Alfred comes in with the note/box, and Andrea sent the ring back to Bruce. With a, basically, it's not you, it's me, I'm leaving, bye. Like, not really any excuse at all. Just, I'm leaving.
And it goes to Alfred helping Bruce put the Batman suit on for the first time.
Yep, becoming Batman.
Yeah, and he has the mask. Alfred has the mask, and he hands it to him, and he puts it on, and he turns around, and Alfred's like, oh my god.
Yeah. And that moment is so awesome. Like, I absolutely loved it. So then we see the World's Fair now. It's, like, super rundown and abandoned. And Sal is there. He, like, pulls up, and he's, like, rocking around, like, looking for someone. And you're like, okay, well, who's he looking for? And then we get the Joker.
Oh, the Joker, voiced by Mark Hamill.
Of course.
Of course, of course.
Well, because it is the animated series, so.
I'm like, I love his Joker.
He is the best Joker. Followed closely by Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix. They're, like, all right there.
I was like, we could have, like, a three-way tie after that.
Pretty much. Like, it's Mark Hamill and then those three. Like, it's so hard because their performances were all so well done, but also so different. You're just like, it's just hard because knowing very little about the Joker and, like, where he comes from, them all three giving these different performances just makes it hard to rank them, because unlike Batman, you can definitively rank them because there's enough known about Batman, whereas there's not enough known about the Joker to, in my opinion, definitively rank those three against each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Joker comes out and he's talking to him, and he's like, well, we have to stop Batman because, or no, he's convinced that it's not Batman. Like, he knows. He's like, I've been fighting Batman for years. This ain't him. Because first of all, Batman wouldn't kill anybody, is what he says. And Sal's just like, well, he is now. And he's like, nope. Joker's like, nope, that's not Batman then. It's like, it's somebody else, and we gotta figure out who it is and what they want. But Sal's, like, still convinced. He's like, I just need you to take care of Batman. And, of course, that's what Joker's gonna do, because it's Joker. And Joker and Batman are, like, the most well-known villain-hero combo.
It's true.
Like, I don't think any other one is more well-known than those two. Including Superman and Lex Luthor.
I was like, there's that one, but I think Joker and Batman win out on that.
Yeah, Joker and Batman definitely went out. Like, Superman and Lex Luthor are major combo, but everyone knows Batman and Joker. So then we see Andrea and Arthur on another date. It's like kind of the end of the date, so Arthur's walking Andrea home, and Batman is inside her apartment when she gets there, and she seems to know he's there, so she like tells Arthur to go away. She's like, no, you can't come in.
It's
go
like,
away.
no, go, bye-bye. And she's like, oh, it's you.
Yeah. And she's just like we said earlier, she knows exactly who he is. And he doesn't seem surprised that she knows exactly who he is.
Nah.
Which is so understandable. Like, no, I'm not going to talk about it now, but when we get to it, I will talk about it, because I will remember. But so, she's talking about how she's sorry that she left, and she's like trying to explain why she left in the first place. But he's not really wanting to hear it. He's just mad at her. Because it's understandable. I would be mad if I was him. He's just up and leave.
He's like, and he's asking her about her dad. You know, why the hell is he involved with all these people? And she's really not telling too much.
Yeah, so he's just like, okay, whatever, and leaves. And she's upset, which is also kind of understandable because she wants to make things between them better, but he's not really giving her time of day.
Nah.
Because he's mad. Which is understandable, like I said.
It is.
But, so, the Phantasm is going to see Sal, because Phantasm is after Sal, so he's trying to get him. And when Phantasm gets there, Sal's already dead. Because the Joker was involved. So, Joker bomb goes off, but luckily, Phantasm is able to get away. But Batman is chasing the Phantasm, and the cops get all involved, and they see Batman, and they think that Batman is the one that somehow managed to set the bomb off in the apartment, and so they're chasing him. So now he's like running, and the Phantasm is gone, and they've pretty much got him cornered, and he's getting, like, he's pretty hurt, and you're just like super worried. You're like, they can't kill Batman. This can't happen. And then so you see what you think is Batman attached to the bottom of the helicopter, like the little leg thingies with his grappling hook, and like shoot up there. But then the cloak falls off, and it's just like this little wooden thing, and it's a decoy. And Batman gets a lift from Andrea.
And she takes him back to the house. His house.
Yep. They're talking about, he's talking about how he knows about his father being involved with all these guys that the Phantasm is after. And at first he thought maybe his dad, or her dad, was the Phantasm, and he was like trying to get revenge and stuff. And she is like, no, my dad doesn't have anything to do with it. Like, trying to tell him and all that. And then we get Andrea really being able to tell Bruce what happened when she had to leave. So, while she's telling it, we get the flashback of it happening. And so, we see the meeting with all the goons, with like Sal and Arthur and Soul and Buzz and all of them, and how they made some sort of deal with Carl, which is Andrea's dad, and he owed them some kind of money, but he didn't have the money, so him and Andrea had to run for it because there was no way that he was going to be able to come up with the money that they needed in time, and they were going to kill them, so they just ran for it. And then once her dad finally was able to come up with the money, like enough money to pay back with interest, it was already kind of too late. Like, they were already set on killing him.
More kissing.
Yeah.
And Alfred walking away awkwardly. It looks like they had a fun night, because it's like the next morning.
Yeah.
And she's driving away, and Alfred's like, so what's going to happen with your alter ego? Since she's back in the picture?
Yeah. And he's still torn. Like, he still doesn't know.
And then, like, that picture he has of the mob people, he's looking at that picture very carefully, and he's like, hold up. He grabs a red little, like, pencil or marker or whatever, and he draws a smiley face on one of the faces. He's like, it's a goddamn Joker.
Mm-hmm. He recognizes the Joker. And then we see Arthur meeting with the Joker. And Joker's, like, questioning Arthur, asking him who killed all the people from the old gang. Like, wanting to know who killed Buzz and Sal and Saul and all that. And Arthur's like, Batman did it. And Joker's like, no, he didn't. You're lying. And he's like, Arthur is dead set that it's Batman because he wants it to be Batman. But Joker's like, nope, it's somebody else. And then, so they're gonna figure out who did it, eventually. And
Andrea calls.
Yep, Andrea calls Arthur, and they were supposed to have lunch, but they're not going to. So she's like, well, you can still have dinner if you want. And so he agrees to that, and they're still gonna have dinner. But Joker takes it upon himself to, of course, attack Arthur.
And where does Arthur end up at?
Yeah, no. The hospital. 'Cause
he gone crazy.
Yeah. 'Cause Joker used his toxin, his laughing gas, and it made him go crazy. So he's in Arkham.
And Batman just shows up, like, asking Arthur about the Joker and everything.
Yeah. And he's still able to give some good information on how he helped Carl originally, but then he turned on Carl when he came back to pay the money that he owed. And so,
and then he keeps laughing.
Yeah, it just continues to go crazy. But I'm just like, that's a lot of good information for someone who's supposed to be going crazy. But Batman is still investigating, and he gets a phone call, or there is a phone call from Joker. And of course, Joker sent a bomb. So that's one of the Joker's favorite weapons, is bombs.
He likes bombs. He can't help it.
Yeah, he does. He blows a lot of things up.
But Batman, of course, stops it.
Yeah. He stops anyone from being injured. But there's a lot of times the Joker blows a lot of things up.
Yeah, he does.
And somehow he still manages to be alive. Because there's times when he's, like, real close to being dead. I love the Joker. Andrea is at the deserted World's Fair. She's there looking because she knows that some of the other people had went there to try and get some information, so now she's going to. And then we see flashback to her dad being killed by one of the thugs that was sent after him because of the money he owed and Arthur turning on him. And then we see that the Joker has figured out who the Phantasm is. So we figure out who the Phantasm is. Which, when you actually figured out who it was, did you see that coming?
Me?
Yeah.
No, this is my first time watching it.
So you didn't see it coming at all?
No, I didn't.
Her being the Phantasm?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't...
Because I don't remember seeing it coming either. Like, I remember it being a big shock. I was like, what?
Because he reveals... He's like, oh, it's you. And, like, she takes off her mask, and then it's the scene where it talks about she finds her dad dead by the Joker.
Yeah. Yeah. But still, we figure out who it is, and it's just, like, a really big shock. And I feel like...
It wasn't too big of a shock, because I was like, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but you're just like, you weren't expecting it.
Yeah,
so,
not really.
But once you have all the pieces put together and you know who it is, you're like, oh, yeah, that makes complete sense.
He's like, it total makes sense.
Yeah. But she decided that she was going to get revenge on the men who led up to her father being killed. And that's why she did all of this. And then just because it's Gotham, it has to be theatric, so she got a costume.
It's Gotham.
Yeah, it's Gotham, so it's okay. But then the Joker and Andrea start fighting. And this fight takes like 15, 20 minutes at the end of the movie. And they're just like all over the place, and Batman shows up, and it's...
Like the Joker used like this engine, like trying to suck Andrea in.
Yeah, and Batman just like barely saves her in the nick of time.
Because he pushes, like, he's riding on his motorcycle and everything. He's going real fast, and he like goes up in the air like super fast, and like catches her and like pushes the bike into the fan and breaks it.
Yeah. And of course he at this point has figured out who she is, like who the Phantasm is. And he's trying to tell her that he was in the same boat, like he was set on this vengeance for his parents, and that she's in that same boat, and he's trying to help her get out of it and be more, I guess, productive, really. Which is as productive as you can be with that kind of mentality of vengeance in there.
It's like, vengeance cannot be your only job.
Yeah. And that's the difference between her and Bruce, is he was able to turn it into something good. And he's able to do good with it. But he's able to do good with his vengeance and not just see red, and really all she's seeing is red. Like, all she wants is to get the people that got her dad. And no matter how much talking he does, he's not gonna talk her out of it. But of course, Joker almost gets away. But Batman gets him, because Batman always gets him. And he always goes to Arkham, and then he always gets back out. It's this circle of Gotham.
It's like, we really don't know what happens to him at this one.
Yeah, but you do, because he's in the animated series again later. So.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying he's dead.
No.
But at the end of this movie. Because Andrea takes him.
Yeah. But later on when we do see him, when we see Andrea again on the boat,
Yeah.
Um,
She's by herself.
and Joker's not with her, so you can only guess that, of course, if Joker can get out of Arkham, he can get away from Andrea. So he's a crafty little dude. But yeah, Batman, after Andrea and the Joker vanish at the end of that fight, Batman, like, falls in the sewer, and it's like, he gets away that way, and then we see him moping in the Batcave, of course.
That's what he does.
Yeah, but we do see something gleaming in the Batcave, and it's the necklace that Andrea had.
And it's a locket with a picture of Bruce and her.
Yep. Then we see, of course, Andrea alone on the cruise ship, or yacht, or whatever you want to call it. And then Batman gets back to work.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's that one. So the music for this one is Shirley Walker. She did it all. Of course, she had the influence from the 1989 theme and what Danny Elfman did with the Tim Burton movie. So she had that Danny Elfman influence there, but she went on and did her own thing with it. So like you said at the very beginning, we do get that awesome theme, that very iconic Batman theme, but then she goes on and she plays with it throughout the movie.
I love the music.
Yeah, I do too. Because it sticks very closely to what's already there while still having its own identity, I guess. So she got started on Lou Grant, which I think was a TV show in the 1980s. She's not currently working on anything. Her most recent was 2015, I think. And then she's known for Dick Tracy from 1990, Dark Man from 1990, True Lies from 1994, and Escape from LA from whatever, because I didn't write it down. But yeah. So comparison, we already kind of talked about it throughout, like how it sticks very closely to the animated series while giving you kind of more information on Batman and Bruce Wayne. I do like the subtle hints to previous Batman things that they do. Like I said, the World Fair from the 1960s Batman, having Bob Hastings from being Superboy in the 1960s in a Batman/Superman show. So I like all the old hints they have, and I like how they stick with the already set environment of the animated series.
Do you have any trivia on this movie?
Oh, yeah. Kind of comparison / trivia. This has got a lot of hints towards and, like, pulls from the Year One comics, which is I feel like, one of the comics that if you like Batman, that you should read, along with The Killing Joke, The Long Halloween, Hush. Like, there's some major ones that should be read, and Year One's one of them, and this kind of pulls from that. So there's that. We talked about the Annie Awards.
Yeah.
It lost.
It lost to The Lion King. It did.
Yep. But this is the only, like, comic book superhero movie to be even nominated for an Annie.
Yes.
Voice, the robot that... We didn't really talk about the robot, but the robot that's at the World Fair with the Joker.
Uh-huh.
Pretty sure the voice of that is Arlene Sorkin, who is the voice of Harley Quinn. Pretty sure. Let me check. But that voice is very... It does hint at... Yeah, it is.
Good cat.
It is. Boom! Yep, Mrs. Bambi, because that's what the robot's called. That's Arlene Sorkin, who voices Harley Quinn. She's the original voice for Harley Quinn. Now, most of the time, it is Tara Strong, who is, in my opinion, the closest thing we will ever get to Arlene Sorkin ever again. So, I absolutely love Tara Strong. I'm just proud of myself that I recognized that.
Yeah.
Because I heard it and I was like, I don't remember, because I was like listening and I was like, before they showed the robot, I was like, I don't remember her being in this movie.
You're like, Harley Quinn's not supposed to be here. Hold on.
And then it showed the robot and the robot was talking. I was like, oh, yeah. But yeah. In case you didn't know that, which I feel like a lot of people don't really know that. Yeah, Arlene Sorkin played the little robot woman.
That's cute.
That's all I can think of right now.
I was like, I don't have much, because, I mean, what more can we talk about with Batman? The World's Fair stuff, that was, like, they take like, real items from, like, the real World's Fairs, like, in New York. From the 30s one and the 60s one. I just like this because I think it's funny, because it sounds something like he would do. Because Mark Hamill's just the way he is. He just went to a movie theater, like, just randomly. There's, like, a few people watching the movie, like, this movie. And he's like, you guys want to sit with me? I'm like, do you people not realize who you're sitting with?
Yes, I would like to sit with you.
I was like, can I sit with you? Can I sit with you, Luke? I'm like, I don't know what else to say, so I think that's good.
That's okay. That's all right. We've talked a lot about those ones, so. Favorite line?
Oh, let me look. Why, you're the very model of sanity. By the way, I pressed your tights and put away your, was it, the exact thing. It's like your balls and everything. It's Alfred.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
I literally had to stop the movie and rewind it so I can get the whole quote because I was laughing so hard.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, people don't give Alfred enough credit for how sarcastic he is towards Bruce, and he's like the only one that can get away with it.
I was like, I have a lot of Alfred quotes. This one's between it's a dumb bimbo, and they're like the I word, like, yeah, engagement.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's not starting with an I.
I like that one too.
This is another. Let's see. Thanks for the handkerchief. You know where you can stick it.
Yeah,
that's a Batman quote. Nothing's more important than family.
Mm-hmm. I wrote that one down too.
I didn't count on being happy.
Yep, I wrote that.
The only one in this room controlled by their parents is you.
Yeah. I wrote that one.
You think this is between Bruce and Alfred. You think you know everything about me. Well, I diapered your bottom, so I better ought to.
Yep, I wrote that one. Too.
3 more.
That's one of my favorite sarcastic.
Because it's just Alfred.
Lines.
What will vengeance solve? Vengeance blackens the soul. And this one's my favorite because it's the Joker. Can't be too careful with all these weirdos around.
Yeah,
it's the Joker. I mean,
yeah,
he's got a lot of one-liners, and I'm like, oh man, I can't write all of them down. So many puns. All right, go ahead.
Please, I need it to be different now. That's what I want to see. A nice big smile. This madness ends now. Well, I suppose the world's greatest detective would find out eventually. Costume's a bit theatrical, but hey, who am I to talk? Let me go or we'll both die. Whatever it takes. And then, I think you got the rest of them I wrote down too.
Alright, well, this is your movie, so you go at it.
Yeah. I gotta decide between the, vengeance blackens the soul, or you think you know everything about me, don't you? And I diapered your bottom, my bloody well ought to. I gotta decide between those two.
There's some pretty good ones.
Yeah. Think I'm gonna go with the, you think you know me. Or you think you know everything about me, don't you? I diapered your bottom, I bloody well ought to, sir. I'm going with that one. Because I was gonna go with the vengeance one, but I was just talking about how I don't feel like Alfred gets enough credit, so I was like, I have to pick Alfred.
It's Alfred, man. He's awesome.
So, what is your rating?
I'm giving this an 8.
Okay.
Solid 8. It fits with my other 8s. I was like, I think, is this one of my first animated Batman movies I've seen? It is. It is.
Is this your first Batman animated movie?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm not sure. If it is, then that's a good one to start with. Also, my brain's really fuzzy when it comes to watching, like, animated movies like Heroes, so. Yeah, I really like this movie. I did. I was like, it brings me back to my childhood. It did. I liked how it wasn't focusing on, like, oh, dead parents. Okay, no. It was more focusing on, like, him trying to figure himself out. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I like throwing in the Joker, too. I mean, it's always nice to throw in the Joker, because he's awesome.
Yeah.
And I did, like, it to me, I mean, if you're really paying attention, you can know it's her as the villain.
Yeah.
But it was my first time watching it, so I didn't catch everything right away. I like that. Because, like, her voice is disguised, too, which I thought was cool. Very good idea.
Yeah, because the Phantasm is not her voicing it. It's actually the same guy that plays her father is voicing the Phantasm.
They did that for the reason, just to cover it up so that you won't know who it is.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Because they tried to set it up to where you would think that it was her father. So.
I thought that, I'm honest.
I did too. When I was younger, I had always thought that it was her father, and then they revealed it was her, and I was like, oh.
It was like that. I love that. And the music, that music did it for me. I will say some of the animations just a little dated, but that's really I have to take much out for. It's just a little dated, just animation, just a little bit, just some parts, not everything though. But overall, I really liked it. I'd probably watch it again.
So for me, this is a 9 because, like you said, the animation is a little bit dated, and it's that way with the animated series too. Like, even though I absolutely love it, I have to admit that it's dated, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Whereas this came out 27 years ago, almost now.
Almost.
So it's just one of those things that no matter what, animation is going to get better. And yes, they have remastered this one, I believe, up to 4K, because Batman's 80th anniversary was last year.
Yeah.
And so they released a special edition Batman 80th anniversary movie collection. But this is one of them that is on that collection. And it's like the first one in the collection. So I'm super excited to get it so that I can see it in the... I mean, it's still going to be the same type of animation, but the quality is going to be a little bit better because they've digitally remastered it. So they're going to fix some of the fuzziness that's to it, because the 90s animation had that fuzziness to it. Because the animated series still that has it too. Unless you have the digitally remastered. So I'm super excited for that. I'm going to get it. Just don't know when. I love the story of this one. I love everything they play on. I like them pulling from all their different source material that they can pull from. I love it when things actually are able to pull from source material and do it right. Because sometimes they'll pull from source material and then mix some stuff up, and I'm just like, because one of my favorite Batman comics was actually recently animated, like put into an animated movie, and they did it so well until the end, and then they veered away from the source material, and it's my favorite Batman villain that not a lot of people really know, and then they changed it, and so I was not happy. Like, the movie was great until they did the end, and I was pissed because I love that villain and they messed it up. So when you can stick to the source material and do it good and correctly, that makes the movie even better. Because, like, no matter how good your movie is, to me, if you mess up the source material, it makes me mad. So yeah, I think that's all I got. So yeah, this is actually, I think, my favorite animated Batman movie. Our next film is one of the ones that Jess picked. It is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from 1995. So we will see you in just a bit for that one. Thank you for listening, and till a couple minutes. Bye.
Bye.